The Ducks did it. They finally did it. They got a power play goal. Actually, check that. They didn't just get one power play goal. They got 2 power play goals to finally get off the schneid. We'll talk about that and Lukas Dostal's brilliant performance on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason Hernandez, covering hockey for well over a decade, and this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Maybe you're going to go on the road and watch the Ducks in New York. Sorry, we can't do that here. We can't pay royalties and stuff, but we're going to talk about the Ducks' latest victory against the San Jose Sharks, who, by the way, still have not won a game yet this season. I did say if there was an opportunity for the Ducks to get a big win, this was it. Now, one I was off on. I said Frankie would score Danergy. Didn't happen, although Frankie came close during the, I think, second period of this game. But you know what did happen? You know what happened, Ducks fans? They scored a power play goal twice. That is right. The power play has finally pulled through, and not because of their stagnant, in the zone pass. No. Both of these power play goals happened unconventionally. And by that, I mean they were not set up plays. They were not even close to resembling some kind of, okay, you're going to pass here, you're going to go through this diamond. No, this was none of that. Both of these power play goals were in transition. Both of them were on the rush. And if there's going to be some kind of key, some kind of way to get the Ducks off the power play schneid, you know what? That's a fine way to do it. Not exactly how they drew it up, not exactly how any team draws it up, because who would draw up 2 power play goals on the transition? I guess the Ducks would, because they are the faster team. In general, they are a fast team, one of the fastest and youngest teams in the NHL right now. That's fine. So how did it happen? Well, first, we have to look back at the misery. We have to look back at the first 20 power plays and how those did not come through. How they did not come through was pretty much the same way. No Jackson Lacombe for the first 3 games. So they were kind of piecing together who was going to be quarterback in the power play, and none of it seemed to work. There were constant times where whoever was holding onto the puck would hold on to it for a little bit too long, or not make royal road passes, or just keep the puck on one side of the ice. If you do that for too long, the defense is going to see right through you, and they're going to set up in their box, in their diamond, in whatever formation that they have. They're going to set up more easily to stop the puck on the opposing power play. Or what's going to happen is they're going to utilize that active stick, because some teams are much better at that than others, and they're just going to chip the puck away onto the neutral zone. Now, to the Ducks' credit, I will give credit for one thing. Yeah, how about that shorthanded goals? They're not giving away too many of those. So that's a plus, right? Yeah, I'll consider that a plus right now. The Ducks haven't allowed any shorthanded goals against this season. That's fine. All right, how about this? There's plenty of other teams that have given up shorties already, and at least for the Ducks, yes, the puck will get chipped away onto the neutral zone, or it'll kind of get pushed aside. But the Ducks will always go back and retrieve the puck after it has left the zone. So at least I will give some credit for the lack of goals. At least they're not giving up shorties. And I think the one instance that there could have been a shorthanded goal, Lukas Dostal was there to stop the play. Fortunately for Dostal, he hasn't had to do that a whole lot so far this season. So that's fine. But anyway, back to how it actually did happen. So here's how we got here. Stagnant play, no movement, staying on one side of the ice and going around the horn, and just not getting the puck into the zone effectively. So what happened last night? Kind of the exact opposite of that. In the first power play goal, and this isn't really a recap, but this is how it happened. The first power play goal happened right after, this was a dumb penalty by San Jose. This was a bad one. Will Smith tripping Olin Zellweger. That was just not a good one there. You cannot take that kind of penalty. So Will Smith goes in the box. And then the Ducks go to work. And it was pretty much like almost right away. So the Ducks didn't win the faceoff, if I remember correctly. So they had to have the puck cleared going the other way. All right. So the puck is in their own defensive zone. To start off this play, Jackson Lacombe has to chase it down. After Cutter Gauthier got a touch on it, it went back to their own defensive zone. Okay, not a good start on this power play. Already losing offensive zone time. But then Lacombe corrals the puck, passes it to Troy Terry, who's out in the neutral zone, and Troy Terry does it on his own. Yes, I know the assist went to Cutter Gauthier and Jackson Lacombe, but this was all Troy Vetchkin. If there was a definition of a Troy Vetchkin goal, this is it. He took the puck from the neutral zone, pretty much went all the way, and went between all four defenders. All of them. He had all four defenders. One on his right, one on his left, one in front of him, one behind him. They surrounded him. And Troy Terry did what he needs to do more often. He got aggressive. He sniped that puck. He wristed it just over Mackenzie Blackwood and scored the first power play goal of the season for the Ducks. That is the kind of play that will get the Ducks off the schneid, and that's the kind of play that will get everybody going, not just the fans. That'll get the team going. When you have that kind of exceptional individual effort on one side, that's going to really send a message to the rest of the team. Troy Terry kind of took that game at that part of the period, and he just took everything on his shoulders. He took the massive weight and said, no, I'm going to score this one. I'm going to get us on the board, and that's exactly what happened. And this was in transition, too. Troy Terry literally took the puck from his own blue line and just skated it into the zone. Just skated, protected the puck very well, by the way. Again, right around four defensemen, and glided right into the zone. And this wasn't a high danger shot. This was between the face-off circles, and this was right down the middle. But this was a very high slot, if you could call it a high slot, because this was actually kind of closer to the point. But once Terry let that wrister go, genius play, absolutely brilliant play by Troy Terry. Yeah, can you tell he was... I was excited about Troy Terry's goal last night. I was also excited about Leo Carlsson's power play goal. So how did that one happen? That one also happened kind of right away. And guess who got the penalty again? Will Smith. Yeah, first off, that penalty slapped. He tripped Isaac Lundestrom, so Lundy draws a penalty. Will Smith is in the box again, and this was really maybe 20, 30 seconds after that had happened. So once again, the puck clears the zone, goes into the Ducks' defensive zone, and now they have to go in transition again because they couldn't hold the puck in their zone to start off the power play, which is a little bit of a troubling sign, but as long as their transition power play can continue to flourish, I'm all for this. What I loved about this particular power play goal was that it was nothing but cross-ice passes going into the zone, when they got in the zone, when they scored. This was all cross-ice passes. This was, I think it was Leo Carlsson that brought the puck in from the defensive end. Yeah, it would have been Leo Carlsson in that particular power play. So he brings the puck in, gets a cross-ice pass to his right to Troy Terry, who then cross-ice passes a nice diagonal pass away from the net to Mason McTavish, which begins to confuse the defense. Now the defense begins to get a little bit discombobulated, so Terry over to McTavish. the defense starts to flank towards McTavish, another cross ice pass to Cutter Gauthier, and then cross ice towards the net, and Leo Carlsson is there to pick up the loose change across the ice, and that's the second power play goal of the night. And that was the difference. Ducks did win it 3-1 on the power of 2 power play goals, but both of them coming off of transition, I consider that a good sign. Should the Ducks rely on that for the rest of the season? Absolutely not. They should not rely on that. They should still have the ability or be able to score when they are in their setup, when they are in their offensive zone for 20, 30 seconds. Now they have to learn how to score in those situations, and that's going to be a little bit challenging for this Ducks team, but hopefully they can remember how they scored that second goal in particular. Cross ice passes, not just looking for forward diagonal passes, but looking for diagonal backwards passes too, because those are just as effective if the defense is not set up and if you can bait the defense into flanking on one side or just get the entire PK on one side, leave someone else wide open, and as one or two players goes towards the puck, you're obviously and invariably going to have someone open, and that's kind of what happened on that second goal. Is you had Leo Carlsson, who was kind of by himself down below the net. And that's a fairly easy power play goal in the sense that he was open. The setup was not easy. The setup, I think the word I'm looking for here is maybe a little sophisticated. This power play had some thought to it. It had some depth to it. So for that reason, that's why I'm a little bit more confident in the Ducks power play moving forward. And by the way, they are no longer 0% on the power play. They are now I'm going to be careful here. They're now a whopping 8.7%, which is still second to last in the NHL. But hey, at least they're on the board. At least they are not the Buffalo Sabres. The Ducks are 2 for 23. The Sabres are still 0 for 22. All right, we're going to head into the first intermission. We're going to go a little bit more in-depth from last night's game, talk about Lukas Dostal, and we'll get through all of that on the other side. And now a brief word from Gametime. If you haven't used Gametime before, then what are you waiting for? It's World Series time here in SoCal. And you could check out the latest tickets on Gametime because they have a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. They take out all the fluff to show you only the best deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And also, they have a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and so much more. And they also have seat views before you buy. Maybe you have enough money to go to the World Series. Check out the Dodgers and the Yankees. So, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. We're also brought to you by PrizePicks. Download PrizePicks now, and you could get up to 100 times your cash with as little as 4 correct picks on the daily fantasy sports app. And you could have daily fantasy hockey. There's plenty of that. There was plenty of that last night on the Frozen Frenzy. All 32 teams played. So you could have that for multiple nights. You could also have, who's higher or lower in these picks. Maybe if you picked, if you picked Troy Terry scoring a goal, then you did well on PrizePicks. Also, don't forget that PrizePicks puts its members first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure, and when my picks hit, I can get my money in as little as 15 minutes. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Once again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, let's talk about Lukas Dostal. The bakery's closed. Some of you are asking, I think I got one person asking, the bakery, what does that mean? So for those of you everydayers, you may have heard me say this once or twice. So the reason that myself, actually John Broadbent, was the one who coined this term from Defend the Nest, but we call him the bakery because for a while when he was playing in the AHL, a lot of broadcasters were pronouncing his name correctly, and it is not Dostal. Yes, there was a lot of that his first pro season in North America. I heard Dostal. No, it is Dostal. Dough, and the reason we say that is dough as in bakery dough. So that's where the bakery comes from. I know it's kind of a weird, cheesy, whatever nickname, but that's what we went with, and it has stuck for the past 4 seasons. Some fans have caught on to it, so that's why we call him the bakery. And the bakery was indeed closed for the most part. He did let in 1 goal. So let's recap last night's game very quickly. Ducks and Sharks got off to a slow start on both sides. Even though the shots were plenty, there were a couple of moments that made you go, oh. One in particular took place in the middle of the first period where we thought there was a sure goal. Absolutely a sure goal in the first period. That's what I thought. But the iron was kind to Lukas Dostal. It went post, and out. Oh boy. That's one of those where you say, that's just bad luck on the other side. Yeah, I kind of loved it, but ooh boy. At least the penalty kill was looking good, but holy moly. So on that particular play, this was a shot. I forgot who shot it now, but that one went off the shoulder of Lukas Dostal. Then it hit the crossbar behind him, and then it went straight down, hit the goal line, hit the post, and then went out. I was breathing a sigh of relief because when I saw that live, I thought that thing was in. Even the announcers thought it was in. But nope. That one somehow stayed out. I don't know how that happened, but it just stayed out. I'm trying to remember who actually... I want to say it was Gushkin that shot it. And everyone just kind of stopped. And then our broadcasters thought it was in. Nope. That one stayed out. So it remained 0-0 through the first period. Then we move on to the second period, and that's when Troy Terry struck on the power play. Really, maybe 20, 25 seconds after Will Smith went in the box the first time. Troy Terry from Cutter Gauthier and Jackson Lacombe, making it 1-0 Ducks. Then in the third period, Mikael Granlund scored on the power play. So, yeah, San Jose on the power play, fine. Tied at 1. Then just a few seconds later, Will Smith commits another penalty, and then it's Leo Carlsson time. As I mentioned, the diagonal cross-ice passes, Cutter Gauthier put it towards the goal, and Leo Carlsson's right there to tap it in, just tappa, making it 2-1 Ducks. Also, McTavish with an assist on that one. Cutter Gauthier gets his second assist of the day, a multi-point night. Then to top things off, just as Blackwood goes to the bench, Alex Killorn gets an empty netter, bullseye right down the middle. Isaac Lundestrom gets an assist, and that was the game. The Ducks won this one 3-1 going away. Let's talk about, before Dostal, just want to briefly talk about Cutter Gauthier for a few seconds. This was his first multi-point performance in his career, scoring 2 points. If there was a game to get Cutter Gauthier off the schneid, this was absolutely it. And by the way, both of those assists were, actually no, one was a secondary. The last one was a primary apple on the power play. Gauthier's getting more involved and utilizing that speed and utilizing that solid hockey IQ to his advantage. That's what we want to see out of Cutter Gauthier. As long as he continues to play with this kind of intelligence, the Ducks are going to be successful. and Cutter Gauthier is going to see the points begin to pile up. That's what I'm banking on. Those points are going to start to pile up. Just watch, especially on this upcoming road trip. So good on him. Now let's talk about Lukas Dostal, the bakery, who stopped 27 of 28 shots, only allowing that one power play goal. Even strength, he was just terrific on this game. Yes, there was kind of the one miraculous save where it went off the shoulder, crossbar, line, post. But there was another one where he just robbed Will Smith. Just absolutely robbed him. And he was brilliant from then on. 27 out of 28 shots. His save percentage goes up, as I said, to a sterling 936. He improves to 3-1-1 on the season. That's a solid start. I said 45 plus starts. He's getting there. At this point, as long as Dostal keeps rolling like this, there's no reason why he shouldn't get 50 starts this season. So 936 save percentage, goals against average 2.19. That's amongst the league leaders so far. So Dostal doing it all. But now it's going to be a big test. How is he going to do on the road? This 4-game roadie the Ducks have coming up is going to be against Pittsburgh and the 3 teams in the greater New York area: Devils, Rangers, Islanders. And just to briefly go over that, they start on Saturday, so we have a full 3 days off against the Rangers, then Devils, Islanders, Penguins. So we're going to talk about all of that later on. In fact, I'll talk much more about the upcoming road trip on a future podcast. So that's what will be coming up later this week. All right, we're going to head into the second intermission. Stay locked in. And now a brief word from FanDuel, which is America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel is a place where you can get all the latest odds. And, it is the start of the NBA season, NHL season started, and you can begin the season with a big return on FanDuel. Let's say you're watching the Lakers or the Clippers, and you think that something big's going to happen during the middle of a game. Well, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You can get started right now with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Once again, that is FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please, folks, gamble responsibly. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you're locked in with Jason Hernandez, and we're actually going to go outside the norm here because there was a very significant event that took place last night, actually during the Ducks game, and this made the rounds very quickly. So just bear with me here. Yes, this is a Ducks hockey podcast, but there was some extremely tragic news that was even brought up on all the local news right after the game. The unfortunate passing of El Toro, Fernando Valenzuela, longtime pitcher of the Los Angeles Dodgers, passed away at the age of 63 after a brief health battle that he's been dealing with over the past few weeks. Just sad news. Fernando Valenzuela played for a number of teams, actually played with the Angels for a brief time as well. Luckily, I did get to see him pitch for both the Dodgers and the Angels. So that was pretty cool to see. But as far as just the man, nicknamed El Toro, he blazed his way into the big leagues as a 20-year-old. He got wins in his first 8 starts in 1981, and that began Fernando Mania. And for me personally, me being Latino, me being of Mexican descent, I think it's pretty obvious. I cannot overstate how important Fernando Valenzuela was to the Mexican community, to the Latino community at large, for that matter. He brought the fans back to Chavez Ravine, especially the Mexican Latino fans, at a time when they kind of needed it. Now, there is the whole backstory about Chavez Ravine itself, and a lot of Mexicans did not come back to the stadium for the longest time, some of those scars still fresh. But Fernando just kind of brought everybody together. That was also a strike season. And it would take someone with that kind of personality, that kind of emotion. It would take someone of that caliber to ride that wave and continue to bring the fans back to Los Angeles even after a strike. And he went on to help the Dodgers win the World Series that season in 1981 over the New York Yankees, who the Dodgers are playing in this year's World Series. By the way, the last time Yankees and Dodgers played in the World Series happened to be 1981. So this year's Yankees-Dodgers, first time in my lifetime that I get to see a Dodgers-Yankees World Series, by the way. So that in itself is a big deal. The fact that Fernando Valenzuela won Game 3 when the Dodgers were down 0-2, he single-handedly brought the mania to Los Angeles and carried the load and brought a championship to LA. Yes, I know this is Locked On Anaheim Ducks. That's not to say I'm completely a fan of the Angels or Dodgers. No, I'm primarily a fan of the Dodgers. I grew up near the Ravine. That was the stadium I went to the most. I certainly went to Angels games, plenty of Angels games as a kid. Yeah, I loved going to the Big A. Got to see Fernando out there. Got to see Nolan Ryan. Number retirement. Got to see a slew of fun and memorable games at the Big A as a kid. So I felt lucky. I felt lucky to be able to go to all those games as a kid. And just to be able to say that I got to see Fernando Valenzuela pitch, albeit at the end of his career, but it meant a lot to be able to say, yeah, I got to see him pitch. It also meant a lot to be able to meet Fernando Valenzuela on more than one occasion. Always super nice. Just a quick backstory. My mom made him laugh. When my mom met him, she loosened him up. She talked in Spanish the whole time. And, when you get someone of that caliber laughing like that, it just makes for a fantastic memory. So that's something that I won't quickly forget at all. Yeah, this one hit hard. This one hit pretty close to home just because of my heritage, because of who I am. Fernando, one of the greats. I was very happy to see that his number was retired last season, and I'm glad the Dodgers did that while he was still alive. That way he could appreciate it. So yes, there are countless accolades. If you haven't already, those of you that make Locked On Ducks your first listen, make your second listen Locked On Dodgers today. They did a great live podcast. I mean, the news broke just as they went live yesterday, talking about Fernando Valenzuela, and I think they did it justice. So if you haven't already, check out Locked On Dodgers. They do a great job talking about Fernando Valenzuela. So do check that out if you haven't already. And Fernando meant a lot just to the Latino community, not just in Los Angeles, but all around Southern California. The Angels had a statement about Fernando Valenzuela as well. I mean, yes, he was a former Angel as well, former Padre as well, but his reach was not just Los Angeles, not just Anaheim, not just Southern California, but his reach was through the entire country. That's why they call it Fernando Mania. Fernando Mania was strong enough that he even met the president of the United States. At the time was Ronald Reagan, at the same time meeting the president of Mexico. Big deal for him. And El Toro did go on to play for a couple other teams. I think the Phillies was one. The Cardinals. He played for the Cardinals. I think that's where he ended his career. So certainly got around towards the end, but he was loved wherever he went. Fans just gravitated towards Fernando. He wound up doing color commentary for the Dodgers Spanish language broadcasts after his playing career was done. And that's where a lot of fans would see him kind of roaming around the club level, myself included. So once again, Fernando Valenzuela passing away at the age of 63, just a week away from his 64th birthday. With that, we're going to wrap up this particular podcast. but I want to thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and so on. You could follow me on Twitter X at StimpyJD. The show's Twitter X is at LO_Ducks. You could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And also, just want to give a shout out to those of you everydayers that leave comments. Thank you all so much for your support, especially right now. That one really hit me hard. So just want to thank you all for the very sincere support. Oh yeah, also YouTube subscribe button, so don't miss a podcast. Once again, thank you all so very much. Really appreciate it. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason Hernandez saying have a great rest of the day. Please remember to be safe out there. Please be kind to yourselves. Be kind to one another. And Ducks, fly together.